Starfield has made many people hungry for the next great space adventure. Unfortunately, it's a pretty long wait until Starfield. Meanwhile, here's a few titles you should probably check out. Whether you want to get your hands on spaceships, explore strange alien worlds, or even take on some epic quests to save the galaxy, there's something here for you. Also, this video is sponsored by Square Enix and Final Fantasy XIV. More about that further into the video. Okay, so let's start with the Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is certainly a very odd game, surreal in many respects. But that said, it has gained much respect from both critics and gamers alike. Taking place in a constantly evolving star system, players will use both regular exploration as well as their starship to solve a whole variety of mysteries which are further confounded by an endless time loop. Now, I don't want to go too deeply into this because, well, spoilers. Suffice to say that this one definitely is as good as it sounds. A truly fantastical game world. And talking of fantasy game worlds, here's a word about today's sponsor. If you're a fan of exploring open world games and seeking adventure, then Final Fantasy XIV could certainly be worth a look. With a free-to-play trial, there's nothing to lose. What's more, the trial allows you to play all the way to level 60. The game also offers a variety of classes and jobs. The trial contains 14 of these. Take on different playstyles such as tanks, healers, damage dealers, crafters and gatherers, and more. What's more, players can take on multiple jobs, meaning they are never forced into creating a new character for any single task. Square Enix have been on record as saying they feel this game contains one of their best Final Fantasy stories ever. For everything you need to know, do check out the link in the video description. Rebel Galaxy Outlaw is a game I've often enjoyed jumping into due to its rapid pacing. This game features a whole range of activities from spaceship combat, spaceflight, trading, walking around inside stations, and even a game of pool. Here then, you take on the role of Juno Markev as she journeys through 40 different star systems. Now, the game does have a pretty lengthy campaign which will often direct you in very specific directions. However, you are free to drop in and out of that campaign as and when it suits you, and you can follow the course of a pirate, a trader, a bounty hunter, or indeed pretty much anything else. In terms of style, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw opts for a more arcadey approach of Wing Commander rather than the sim approach of Elite. However, it does work well. It's also worth pointing out, I feel, that this game does have mixed reviews over on Steam. However, it's still a title that I personally enjoy nonetheless. Spaceborne II is an amazingly ambitious game. This one has all the elements from something like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen and mixes them up into something fresh and somewhat innovative. From full-on FPS combat to EVA activity to flying around in your spaceship, which brings with it all the regular things that you can do in typical space games, mining, exploration and other adventure. Now, before you start thinking this is all too good to be true, do keep in mind that currently the game is being produced by a single lone developer, and that means in terms of ongoing development there will likely be some limitations. Also, it is in early access, but even with that it seems to be in a pretty good state. So if you want to get into a game that is in early development and you don't mind the jankiness, there is plenty of jankiness here, then this could certainly be a title that's worth your time. Now, here's a game that arguably is the most similar to Starfield. The Outer Wilds released a few years ago at this point, however it is an excellent game that is widely loved, and all the more so for its intentional, cheesy, campy nature. The Outer Wilds then features multiple planets to visit, a lengthy main campaign, a whole load of side quests, and additionally expect to see all the regular RPG stats, weapons, equipment, character progression, and more. Whilst The Outer Worlds isn't exactly like an open world Bethesda title, it nonetheless has many of the same ingredients. Now, just recently, publishers Private Division released a new enhanced version of the game called Space's Choice Edition. Unfortunately, it's suffering from major performance-related issues and other problems besides. It means that, as of this recording, the Steam reviews for the title are mostly negative, so take care and be aware if that's the version you decide to go for. Meanwhile, The Outer Worlds does remain a great game, at least the original edition, and that one is still available and can also be found on the Xbox Game Pass. Now, this is an old one. Long before Mass Effect, BioWare produced perhaps one of the most loved adventure RPGs, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. It may well look and play extremely dated at this point, however, it remains every bit of the genre-defining title. Set around 4,000 years before current era Star Wars, during the time of the Old Republic, players find themselves facing off against the very different Sith threat of Darth Malak, along with a Jedi civil war as many Jedi turn to the dark side. It's an epic Star Wars tale, and one which players will soon be able to relive thanks to an upcoming remake which will be a PlayStation timed exclusive. Meanwhile, the original title, if you want to check that out, is still available on Steam and Xbox. That then brings us to an end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.